Right now, you're breathing. You can feel the chair beneath you, the air in your lungs, the weight of your own body. You've never questioned any of that. But here's what nobody tells you. You have never, not once in your entire life, directly experienced the outside world. Everything you've ever seen, felt, heard, tasted, touched, every experience you've ever had has been a story your brain told you. Electrical signals interpreted, reconstructed, handed back to you as reality. You haven't been living in the world. You've been living in your brain's best guess at what the world looks like. So what if the guess is wrong? What if the world your brain is reconstructing isn't a world at all? Because some of the smartest people alive think that's exactly what's happening. And the evidence is harder to dismiss than you think. In 2003, a philosopher at Oxford named Nick Bostrom published a paper that quietly broke the internet before breaking the internet was a thing. He wasn't writing science fiction. He was, and still is, one of the most cited philosophers in the world. And his argument was almost insultingly simple. One of three things must be true. Option 1. Almost every civilization destroys itself before developing the technology to run realistic simulations of conscious beings. Option 2. Advanced civilizations gain that ability, but none of them ever bother using it. Option 3. We are living inside a simulation right now. That's it. Pick one. And here's what makes this so uncomfortable. There's no logical flaw in it. You can only reject one of the three premises, and none of them are comfortable to reject. If even one civilization anywhere in the universe develops the ability to run realistic simulations, they'll run billions of them. The simulated minds will outnumber the real ones by an almost infinite margin. So statistically, the odds that you are one of the rare, original, biological beings in base reality are vanishingly small. Elon Musk said publicly, on stage in front of thousands of people, that the chance we are not in a simulation is 1 in billions. Neil deGrasse Tyson called it very possible and said it deserves serious scientific consideration. These aren't fringe thinkers. These are people who built rockets and mapped the cosmos. And they think you might be living inside a computer. Now here's where it stops being philosophy and starts being science. When physicists looked closely at how reality actually behaves at the smallest scales, they found something strange. Reality behaves exactly like a simulation would. The double-slit experiment. When scientists fire particles at a barrier with 2 slits, something impossible happens. Each particle doesn't go through one slit, it goes through both, at the same time. It exists as a wave of probabilities until someone looks at it. The moment it's observed, it snaps into one definite position. Now think about that in the context of a simulation. A well-designed simulation wouldn't render everything at once. It would only render what's being observed, just like our universe does. Then there's the speed of light. Nothing in the universe can exceed it, ever. No exceptions. In base reality, there's no obvious reason speed would have a ceiling. But in a simulation, a processing cap makes perfect sense. And then there's the Planck length. Space cannot be divided infinitely. There is a smallest possible unit of distance. Below it, physics has no answer for what exists. But a simulation does. Below the resolution, there is nothing, because there's nothing to render. Pixels. The universe has pixels. Physicist John Archibald Wheeler spent the final decades of his life arguing that at the most fundamental level, reality isn't made of matter, it's made of information. The universe computes itself into existence. That is a mainstream direction in theoretical physics, and it is indistinguishable from the universe being a program running on someone else's hardware. Now, the theory has serious critics, smart ones. The first objection is computing power. Simulating every particle in the observable universe would require more processing power than the universe itself contains. But maybe it doesn't simulate everything. Maybe it only renders what's being observed, like a video game that only loads the area the player is standing in. The second objection comes from physicist Sabine Hossenfelder. She argues the simulation hypothesis is unfalsifiable. No experiment can prove you're not in a simulation, and science can't meaningfully engage with something it can never disprove. She's not wrong, but unfalsifiable doesn't mean false. It means we're at the edge of what science can reach. There's also the infinite regress problem. If we're in a simulation, who's running it? And are they in a simulation? And who runs that one? It doesn't disprove the theory, it just moves the problem one level up, which is what every deep question about reality eventually does. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. If the simulation hypothesis is true, if there is an entity that created this universe, set its rules, and could intervene at any moment, that entity is, by any reasonable definition, a god. The simulation hypothesis doesn't just challenge physics, it collapses the wall between science and religion, and almost nobody wants to acknowledge that. Then there's the glitch question, déjà vu, the Mandela effect, millions of people sharing identical false memories of things that never happened. Dreams so vivid you wake up grieving from events that didn't occur. Is this proof? No. But in the context of a simulation, it feels like something worth noticing. And here's the thing that should keep you up at night. There is no experiment you could run that would prove you are not in a simulation. None. Design whatever test you want. If the simulation is good enough, it passes. Every time. You cannot get out from under this theory. You can only decide whether you're willing to live with it. So let's say it's true. Let's say tomorrow someone proves this universe is a simulation, that everything you see is rendered, that your body is code and your thoughts are processes running on hardware you'll never see. What changes? You still woke up this morning. You still have people you love. You still feel the weight of a bad day and the relief of a good one. You still remember things that made you laugh until you couldn't breathe. The pain you felt was real. The joy was real. The grief was real. The love was real. Philosopher David Chalmers makes this point directly. Even in a simulation, your experiences are genuine. A simulated consciousness is still a consciousness. What you feel is not diminished by what you're made of. Maybe the realness of reality was never about the substrate, never about the particles or the pixels. Maybe it was always about this, what you feel inside it. Bostrom gave us 3 options: extinction, indifference, or simulation. But there's something he didn't put in the paper. A 4th option. That it doesn't matter. That a life fully felt, inside a simulation or outside one, is still a life. You're here. You're thinking. You're wondering. And if that's not real, then nothing is. If this broke your brain a little, good. Drop a comment with which of Bostrom's 3 options you think is true. I want to know. And if you want more ideas that make reality feel slightly less stable, you know where to find them.